Hi, Julia. It's
Hi, Pedro.
another day and
Another
another
day.
set of
Yep.
crazy news.
Or
Oh,
what kind of stuff do we have now? Or I did the research for this episode, so I should have an idea. But.
yeah, yeah. It's weird. So, where do we want to start?
I think we should start with the fact that Putin. No, that the Portuguese president, I think. His. I'm always getting a bit confused when it comes to, like, is it this the president or prime minister? But the president has has outright called Putin a Russian asset.
Yeah, and now I don't have the link for that. Whoopsie. That's a yeah. But Portuguese president really
Marcelo Rebelo, he's outright said that Putin acts as if he's a Russian spy or a Russian or a Soviet agent even.
yeah. And now finally, I've been talking about this for a very long time. I've been shouting about it for like a very long time, and finally, it's coming. In the like that like the likes of Portugal and everybody in the European Union and everywhere in the world, they are finally realizing and talking about it and saying it out loud that the that this is what everything what Donald Trump does benefits Russia. And all the talking points what Donald Trump is saying out loud are exactly the talking points from Moscow. So it's a little late, but better late than never. And that is
But this was something we were fully aware of before Trump was re-elected, that his stance on Ukraine would be bad
yeah,
and that he would potentially completely abandon Ukraine. He would compete. He would say he said that he would flip flop on NATO, and that he's not sure that the US under him would be fulfilling its like what no, but he wasn't sure that no that it wouldn't actually fulfill its duty to NATO under Article 5. This is something that we knew.
yeah. It's the same thing. It's like Project 2025 has all these things written in there.
Of course it does.
And it's kind of it's the same situation like in what happened in Germany, for example, with Hitler. That the Hitler had this, he had written a book.
Yeah, I think the difference is here that Trump lied about the fact that he was somehow involved with 2025, or that he was going to have people who had been involved with 2025 in his administration, or that he was going to do with what 2025 said. Because his answer when he was called out on this during his campaign was just, well, I don't have anything to do with this. And none of the people who've been involved with like shaping Project 2025 will have a place in my administration, because he knew how toxic Project 2025 was with American voters.
Yeah, but he was lying then because now what happened when he was elected, now those people are exactly there. So it was a normal Donald Trump's lie that yeah, I don't know these guys, and then suddenly they pop up everywhere.
No, he said that he had nothing to do with Project
Yeah,
2025, and that he didn't want anyone who had any involvement with it to be part of his administration, which was blatantly untrue, considering that all the top guys from 2025 are, or like
everything.
Project 2025, are now in his administration, more or less.
Yeah, yeah. It's all of them are there, and he's been doing it now uh, by the book. I mean, as you can say, like
Yep, there
all the
is a homepage somewhere that's, I think, called Project 2025 2025 tracker or something, where you can follow it in real time when the list of
Oh,
Project 2025 is being checked off.
that we have to set to the the a link list
Oh, we will have to do that, yeah.
because this is like a we have to stop dreaming. We have to stop this confusion. We have to start acting accordingly.
Yeah.
And
But this leads me to what I think we should be talking about today, and it's the fact that I think Europe is finally starting to wake up to a very different defense reality than the one we've had previously, rather before Trump.
yeah, the Alaska meeting, or the Putin's double, actually with Lavrov. So
Oh, you mean what Alaska summit? You mean Putin's and Trump's little jacuzzi date where they, I
yeah,
don't want to get into what they did in the jacuzzi, but you know what I mean.
yeah, but Putin wasn't there. It was his body double. But Lavrov was the who was giving the instructions for the Trump. But then when European leaders were meeting the Donald Trump, that was the eye opener. That was finally the point when everybody realized that okay, this is the situation. There is nothing good in it.
Yeah, I just realized something about Trump, by the way,
Yeah.
or just generally Trump. If this podcast starts getting a bit of traction and we start getting, some more listeners, I think that I would have a hard time traveling to the US as a tourist or a foreign student or something.
Oh, you now.
I'm not saying that I would like to travel to the US, like to work there or live there or whatever, or like even visit as a student, visit as a tourist. I mean, at the moment, I'm not saying that I very much would like that. I'm saying, but I would have a hard time, considering that there have been tourists who were trying to travel to the US who got stopped in customs and were like denied entry based on they had a meme on their phone or something.
Yeah, but I have all of them. I have a collection of memes. That's the. I'm not
Yeah,
going to.
but you don't want to travel to the US anyways. Or I'm not
No,
saying that I
I
want
was
to, but
I was in the USA first time in 1975, and now I've been in the USA ever since. But now there is no way I'm going to go to the USA. There are lots of countries where I haven't been, uh, especially in the southern hemisphere, where I want to visit. But USA is I will never go there. That is just a reality. And
no, but as somebody who would still like to kind of travel to the US sometime,
yeah,
I
i-
feel like this I might have a difficult time with that, honestly.
yeah, and it's but at the moment nobody wants to go there because that's absolutely dangerous.
I don't think it nobody wants to go there. I don't think people really dare going there at the moment as tourists because we have heard too many stories about how tourists might be treated in the US. But enough about this detour. What I really want to talk about is the different defense reality that Europe is finally starting to wake up to now, and how this might probably shape European defense going forward when we can't really rely on US anymore. Or like if US is going to pull out of NATO, which will be the only thing that Trump will ever pull out of.
Yeah, well,
Um,
remember the WHO, World Health
oh,
Organization.
he pulled out, yeah, but those are the things that he's pulling out of.
So he's cutting off the USA off from everything, and but that's a reality. That is what we know because that is in the Project 2025. So we know that this is coming, but the it is just that we have leaders in the European Union who have been preparing things for that
Oh,
because
definitely. But we also have leaders in the European Union who've been a little bit too happy sticking up to Trump, and acting like pick-me's for him, especially some on the right that have been, I guess, viewing themselves as political, not allies, but political citizen brothers of Trump.
Yeah.
And I think even them are having a reality check now that, wait, we're European. This will not work out for us if we're going to stick up to Trump too much.
And that there is a you have the neighbors, and it's actually good to trade with them and do things together with your neighbors.
Not only good to trade, but I think because this was happened during Brexit in the UK, was that a lot of these right wingers, reactionary right wingers, I should say, were very keen on looking towards the other side of the pond. And they absolutely loved that. And I mean, Nigel Farage has been going to the US quite a bit.
Yeah,
The
Brussels.
former MEP, if you don't know, but he's a former MEP who was leader of the Brexit Party and one of the key campaigners for Brexit in the UK. And he has absolutely been to the US a little bit too much, even after getting elected as an MP in the UK.
Yeah, but now we have to remember that these are all Russian assets, so they go and they have these meetings where they are sharing the what you have to do is and also so they travel there
No,
and go.
but my point here is, for instance, with people like uh, Maloney, who has previously been, I mean, she's still in the party group like Patriots for Europe, which is quite far right wing. I mean, they are right wing extremists, more or less. But she seems to have stepped up to the role of a leader, at least on the surface level, that she's starting to realize that, well, she needs to be there for like Italy and she needs to be there for Europe and she needs to be willing to cooperate, and she needs to be willing to learn from other European countries. And she can't do this throwing herself on the floor temper tantrum that a lot of these right wingers love doing.
Yeah, yeah, this is when reality hits that the you know that hey, wait a minute, actually for Italy it's better to cooperate, and really it's better to. And also the when Maloney visited, for example, in Finland, I've been talking about this. So Finland showed her that how we do things, and and also all the European leaders have understood that yeah, we have these problems, but like Russia is causing us immigration issues problems that because they are, for example, bombarding Syria and they're making mayhem in the Syria, and people want have to leave the place. So
Mm-hmm.
they want to have asylum uh, because they are being killed there, and
Yeah,
the Russia is causing these things that people are wants to immigrate and ask for asylum. Was it mine or no? Yeah.
yeah.
So so that we have to like cooperate together, and we have to understand that this is caused by the Moscow and Putin. Putin is causing this, and then we have to like we have to take care of the root cause, and that root cause is Putin. And but we can do this when we work together, and so
Yeah,
but we have to now take this next level that we have to take these dictators down, and
because
because
but this when you mentioned talking working together, because this is something we see not just in Europe, that Europe is becoming more united, but another example of this is when Xi Jinping met up with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently, despite the fact that India and China have, I mean, they have the border dispute when it comes to the Himalayas, and they've had a very icy relationship, so to speak. But for the first time in 7 years, those two leaders are meeting, and they, just in order to discuss cooperation between India and China,
Yeah.
because both of them realize that we can't depend on trade and cooperation and defense support from the US under Trump. And I think that is happening. That's my understanding of what's happening, at least. That they are doing that because they realize we need to see who our true allies are, because I don't think it's the US.
Both countries have their problems, but when these countries are talking to together to each other, that is a positive thing. That is absolutely, um, that's good, because not talking is really bad. Then we have because and the war between India and China would be devastating in so many levels. But the because they, there is this border issues, and then China supporting Russia and so on. Um, but
But something I find interesting is that China seems to have been moving, not necessarily towards the West, but they've been moving more, but they've been distancing themselves a bit more from Russia. And they absolutely don't want to get dragged into the conflict in Ukraine.
Yeah, it's a European Union is an example here, because we have been the level of diplomacy what we have done, and it is like hey, this is like um, when you have two big babies like Putin and Trump, so that
Yeah.
actually what we can do is that we can cooperate together and do certain things, and um, you
But
know
I don't. But having a world order that's currently kind of not dominated, but where you have two very prominent superpowers led by giant toddlers with nukes, that's not good for anyone.
yeah, no, yeah, the new part is not. Let me see.
Because as far as when I if I remember correctly from when I worked in a daycare or preschool,
Yeah,
is that you don't let kids that age have scissors. So
yeah.
I definitely don't think they should be having nukes. But that's just me.
But the nukes, yeah, that's a long story. But when you have the two of these, India and China, talking, at least talking and being in the same picture, and like that is a good thing, um, because that takes down the tension.
But I think that's also where you have, because with Trump and with Putin, I think a lot of countries are getting to, especially in Europe, because I mean I'm talking about Europe because that is where I'm from and where I live and what I know mostly. But there is this realization that there is no real need in having animosity towards your neighbors. There's no real reason to have animosity against asylum seekers, particularly because we have bigger problems now.
Yeah,
Like, let's not get caught up in stuff such as like, oh no, I mean this whole idea about Islam as a threat to the West. I mean, we don't need to make up that threat when we have Putin and we have Trump in the US.
But here is the thing that when Putin is working, he's not playing one set of cards. He's playing with several decks of cards.
No, he's playing all of them, and
Oh,
this
yeah.
is and Russia is masterfully spreading disinformation to everyone. I know they have been in Sweden, for instance,
yeah.
going around disinformation in the Muslim community about how Swedish social services want to take custody of Muslim kids because the family is Muslim, and it has nothing to do with the fact whether there might actually be some quite questionable parents there.
Yeah.
But it's just about the racism against Muslim and how perfectly innocent families have their kids taken just because they're Muslims, and there is some kind of like cultural genocide in Sweden going on against the Muslim community.
That's a classical divide and conquer. What Putin wants to do is he wants to put the people in the silos and the countries in the silos, and then one by one take them, hunt them down. Like what Trump is doing in the USA is that he's putting people in the silos and then taking them one by one. Because
Yeah.
that is and this is a very alarming, because now people have to understand that if Trump and Putin are going after these people, you will be the next. So you have
No,
to be
but Trump and Putin are just going after everyone, I think. I don't think
everyone.
there is much distinguish. I don't think they distinguish between
When you see
people
that,
and people.
but when you see that they are going after these people, then you know that they will come after you.
Yeah.
You're gonna be next at some point. So because dictators and these psychopaths, what they want to do is that they want to have everything, and then everybody else is serving them. So
But then there is also the problem with populism, which is that you get caught into blaming one group. And then when you've blamed that group sufficiently, especially when it comes to a group like, let's say you start by blaming immigrants, and then you become stricter on immigration and asylum, and then the problems are still not solved, you start blaming the next group, and the
yeah,
next group,
yeah,
and the next group.
yeah, that is true.
And it becomes this snowball that keeps on rolling and rolling forever.
It stops when everybody is the head is down, and everybody is submissive to the
But when that snowball stops, it's too late. You've
yeah,
already done
yeah.
way too much
And
damage.
this is now we are seeing finally, like when the Portuguese president talks about this, and then when we have Ursula von der Leyen uh, telling to the Estonish, I mean, having a speech there and telling out loud to the Estonish that yeah, you were right, and
That is a big step coming from the head of the commission
it is
and von der Leyen, because I mean, I'm not going to be that person, but especially the fact that she's German means that there is a big step in what I would say is the right direction when it comes to the approach to Russia, because Western Europeans in general, Germany, we're guilty of this too, they've been quite naive when it comes to what Putin will do and what he's capable of doing.
yeah, it's definitely a turning point. I mean, and very important, because for the Estonians, it's of course that we apologize. You were correct. We were wrong, kind of thing. And but it's also it's a milestone in a way that okay, now we will start doing the. I mean, we will we're fully behind this.
But this is also why von der Leyen did her border state tour to EU countries that are border states.
Yeah.
And why because this is not just an apology to Estonia, this is an apology to all of the Baltic states, an apology to Finland, it's an apology to Poland.
Yeah.
It's an apology to everyone really that has dealt with Russia up close
And
historically.
it re-establishes the support for the Ukraine. And but it's very important. This is a very adult thing to do. That if you realize that oh shit, I was wrong, and then you say it out loud. Yeah, sorry, I was wrong. You was right. You are right. And so that is a very adult thing to do because then the message is that yeah, you were correct. I was wrong. Now let's do this. What we have to do, and
Yeah,
that's
and it's also a sign of a great leader. Like
yeah,
humility is a sign of a great leader, and
it is.
I've thought this earlier today that I'm not sure that Ursula von der Leyen, would be the most fun person to drink beer with, but she doesn't have to be a good leader, and I think there is a difference there. Like because we want seriousness in politics, and we want humility, and we
Yeah,
want competency most
yeah,
importantly.
I'm understanding because there are lots of leaders. Okay, Trump is a good example, who never he makes a hell of a lot of mistakes and wrong things in every level, and he never takes responsibility. Never.
No, he's
He
like
never.
Boris
He never
Johnson.
says that. Whoops, sorry, that
He's
didn't
like Boris Johnson, former
work.
disgrace of
Everybody
number
else.
10, former British disgrace in number 10,
Yeah.
also known as like he was prime minister, officially speaking, but yeah, just disgraceful.
Yeah.
I don't have anything polite to him about him
Yeah.
to say,
No.
or I
Yeah.
don't have anything family friendly to say
My
about him either.
my Apple Watch is going like that. The watch. What's your blood pressure? But um, but it's when you the leader steps in. Good leaders are like steps in and if um if they did are you still there?
I'm still there.
Okay, no, we had to some kind of glitch, but the good leader steps in when it's crisis, and also when says something like this. So it's also like shows that yes, I understand the situation, and yes, we are ready to move move accordingly, and
Because
that
something that von der Leyen also stated in a visit to Estonia is the fact that Putin won't stop.
yeah, and this is
And
what
that is something that
that's massive.
I know that we've known for quite some time.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're Finnish and I'm just a history and politics nerd in general.
Or what did you say that you're
A
just a Swedish?
politics and history nerd in general.
No, but if we know that when Finland was forced to give parts of its land to Russia, it was not only the Russia who was forcing the Finland to give the parts. It was the UK. We
Yeah.
lost the parts to the Russia thanks to the UK because the north part, the Petsamo and that one, the that was thanks to the UK. It was not thanks to the Russians. It was the UK who did that. But so we know that if Russia gets a tiny little piece of land, it doesn't need to be 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, then they will go after for more. And then, so if Ukraine gives any piece of land for the Russians, then Russia won.
But there's also this thing that's very unfair if we're going to talk about this, like peace negotiations. Because, for instance, now forcing Ukraine to give up land to resolve this conflict, or trying to resolve this conflict, would be like saying that Ukraine is also partially responsible for
Yeah,
the invasion.
yeah,
And this is something that it's very hard to fault Ukraine for the invasion. It's very difficult to fault Ukraine for the annexation of Crimea, because if you know what you're dealing with, it comes to Putin, and I've said this before, but I'm going to repeat myself a bit here. Like, Putin wants to restore the glory of the Soviet Union, or whatever it is that he wants. And he wants that to be something that he will be known for. And just a tiny detail is that none of the countries, rather, that was part of the Soviet Union want to go back.
Oh no, this is absolutely, because now, after the Russia collapsed, the communist Russia collapsed. What you see in these countries that became part of the European Union, yes, it has been a very hard work for them to do. Democracy is never easy. I mean, if you want to have something, you have to work for it. Like, you have to make it happen. But they absolutely do not want to go back to the Russian reality, which is really bad. And so, but then when Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Ukraine, when they are like that, okay, we are not going to do this. So now the rest of the European Union is there, and understands the because I mean, if Poland goes, then the next is Germany, and the Putin has said that he wants to take the Spain. And
but Putin. But this is also something that I talked to my German stepdad about, and he sounded genuinely afraid that because the idea of that there could be a war in Germany again was something that he never thought would happen, but it's
nobody
with Putin and how he is what he's doing. He sounded startled in a way that I don't think I've heard him sound. No, I haven't heard him sound like startled in that way. When it comes to like politics and like global security, and because now there is talk that there might be a war in Germany again.
Yeah, this was
because Putin talks about that it's time for Russia to do what they did during the Second World War and re-liberate Germany. What Germany needs to be re-liberated from, I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
But I guess the work agenda, like the gays and the feminists and the vegetarians or something.
Yeah, vegetarians, they are evil people. I mean, definitely, absolutely. Like, what the hell? I mean, it's like India is basically vegetarian, for example.
Where do you think this talking to China now and have realized that? Well,
yeah, but it's this.
No, but this is my being sarcastic here,
and deep with Russians. It's runs so deep, and it's also the exceptionalism what we are seeing with certain countries is just astonishing. Because in Europe we have this level playing field, and this ideal that we are doing things together, and we are achieving these things together, and making things better, and so that the life is life is better.
No, but even now, like if we go back to Germany for a moment, and also like the new defense reality that Europe is waking up to, you have Friedrich Merz, current German chancellor, saying that he is preparing mentally, at least, that Ukraine might be a long war, and that this will not be over easily.
Yeah. Do I have that one?
Yes, you have that one. I sent the link to you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to sound snarky or
yeah.
condescending here, but
It's
just saying that I did.
there, there it is. Um, and But this is the same. Merz was also there in the White House, and so this was the realization from that was like the reality check um, for everyone, and
Yeah.
so that after the meetings that came after that meeting was like that. Everybody was like that. Okay, the situation is this, and now we are making the correct. Um, what is correct? What is it in English when you say that? It's conclusions.
Yep, exactly. You're making the correct conclusion. But this was something that has been a little bit frustrating for a lot of people I know in Europe, like especially in NATO and the EU, that it's taken this long for like big countries such as Germany and France to realize what they're actually dealing with when they're dealing with Putin.
Yeah, it's amazing like how Putin managed to unite the European Union, like really unite. And then what Trump did, he like solidified it, so that
Yeah.
the now Europe, and also the realization, like when we are talking with Canada, and Canada is talking with the European Union, is that we realize
Canada
that
has no choice but to talk to us at the
yeah,
moment.
the choice with Canada was like that. Do they go the way of the USSA, or do they actually follow the Nordic, the European Union way of cooperation?
Yeah.
And they understood that. Hey, listen. I mean, the like we were talking about this earlier today, that uh, Nordic
But
countries are always in the top 10.
yeah,
Uh,
but Canada has really been forced into a corner by Trump's
no,
tariffs and how he's been.
it's
Yeah,
not a
they
corner.
have.
It's not a corner. It's like that. You have two roads. You have two roads, and
Yeah,
you can
but I'm
go one
saying that in some ways it's very much a corner because geographically it makes sense for Canada to depend on its closest neighbor for defense
oh
and
no.
for defense cooperation
Are you?
and
Are you?
for trade and so on and
Don't
so forth. It makes sense.
don't look at the. You have to. If you swing the Earth and you look in the North Pole, so who do you have there? You have the Canada and you have the Iceland. No, so first Greenland, Iceland, and then what is it?
Well, you
Ireland.
have Russia there as well, and you have some other.
You have the Norway, Denmark, Sweden, and Finland, and Baltics. So we are
Yeah.
actually very close. And then you have to remember that Canada is
No,
also
but I'm saying that it makes geographical sense for them to have a closely forged relationship with the
yeah,
US.
but
And in this regard is where I mean that Canada has in a way been forced into a corner by Trump's tariffs because that road is not open to them at the moment.
yeah, but it was also a relationship which was like a really one-way relationship, that it was the USA exploiting the Canada, and now Canada realized that okay, we have to do something, but actually it's a good thing that we cooperate with the European Union and with the
Oh, it
Nordics.
definitely is.
And
But I think Canada is better off having a closer relationship
yeah,
with Europe
there
than with the US in general, considering that in some ways, if we're talking about in terms of their values and what their political aims are, they seem to be closer to us than they are to the US.
they definitely are, because when you're living that far north and in the Nordic levels, then you really have to have a functioning society, because
It's
if you,
not only that, but Canada has always been, I mean, always and always, but Canada is a country that decided that we're going to not go down the path of Reaganism and get rid of our healthcare system
No, we
and
need
slaughter our
education.
education system down to its bare bones. And we're not going to do this,
No.
which
And that's also Nordic model, that we have a very strong education, we have very strong healthcare, and we want to have like our society to work.
but
And
Canada, I mean, they've said it themselves. So, like, I don't remember who this was when they were. My memory here is bad. I apologize to potential, like, if we have Canadian listeners here. I thoroughly apologize because I don't remember the details here, but I do know that Canada, in many regards, is the most European non-European country.
yeah,
And also that the US is I'm gonna say this about the US, and I said this when Biden was still president, and I don't think it's aged particularly well. But the US is a strong ally to have, but they're not a very wise ally when it comes to, for instance, who they are starting war with and why and when.
yeah, that's um, and now
They
every
bring a lot of gun power, but they don't necessarily bring it wisely or
yeah, they have
appropriately in
the
terms of like
intelligence,
time.
how to use, where, what to use, how to use the. But if we think about Canada, Carney was in Germany, and I was really like, I got goosebumps because he was talking about the level playing field.
Hmm.
Uh, Melanie Joly, the industry minister of Canada, was in Finland, and she was talking about dual use, which is a Finnish philosophy.
Can you please, if our listeners don't are not familiar with what dual use is, can you please just do a quick resume of that?
Yes, okay. Good example is the Itäkeskus. There is a swimming pool, Olympic-sized swimming pool, but it's down in the earth in the bedrock, and it's built built how many meters? I can't remember, like 50 meters down. It's a bunker basically. So during the peacetime, it's an Olympic-sized swimming pool, massive swimming pool, and you have saunas and everything. You have the playgrounds for the kids, and you have football fields there. You can play all kind of things when it's during the winter time. So, but it needs 72 hours, and it can be turned into a protection for the civilians. It can take a direct nuclear hit. So it's going to be. In the wartime, it will protect the civilian population. But because we don't know when there is a war, if there's going to be the war, so the main thing is that it's a swimming pool. So during the peacetime, everybody can go there. Especially the athletes, they want to have, they need a
But
swimming pool.
Finland has done this with because there was a goal in Finland to be able to have enough bunkers for the entire
Yeah.
population.
Well,
The
if you think Helsinki is 550,000 people, we have civilian protection for 900,000 people.
yeah,
And the reason for why it's so much higher is that because we have tourists and people from like from Espoo and Vantaa coming there who are working there.
yeah.
So you have enough space for the guests and people who are working there. So that's why the 900,000. So it's
But it's
oversized.
also the fact that because Finland has done something very clever, and it's the fact that, like, if you're going to justify building all of these bunkers, you might as well use them for something resourceful during peacetime.
During peacetime. That is dual use. So you when you need something like this, like the defense for the civilian population, then you have to figure out that, okay, is there something else what we need, and so you build it in such a way that you can use it during the peacetime, and then less than 72 hours you can turn it into civilian protection.
But
and
it's
that's
also
not
good
used.
in the case of wartime, for instance, because a lot of times bunkers are just holes in the ground with nothing to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Because if you
that's
have
smart.
bunkers that are also libraries and swimming pools
Yeah,
and whatever they are, like, you can, it's good for the health, mental health of the civilian population as well.
yeah, and people become so familiar with them, and you can play during the winter time. You can play football there, it's a warm place, and it's when it's on the ground, you don't need so much heating and stuff like. So actually, it's a very economical space in that way. But dual use is important. That okay, we have a certain types of cars that you get a discount in taxes, but then you know that if there is a wartime, then the government will take the car. They will pay for it, but they will confiscate. They will take it to the military use. So that is when you buy a certain type of cars, you know that now you during the
I'm guessing that this applies to a lot of off-road vehicles, a lot
oh
four-wheel
yeah, yeah,
drive.
and trucks like that, and so they know it, and of course nobody wants to have war. War is absolutely something horrible and stupid. But when you have the dual use, then you have this that okay, um, what
But this is where I feel like, as somebody who's Swedish, that Finland made a very clear, took a very different path when it comes to war, and nobody wants war, because the Swedish way of dealing with the discomfort of we might have a war has not been as it has not been as resourceful. It has more been like, let's not talk about it.
and when the Finnish have their history, our history, but it's like, how do we solve this problem and how do we do it so that it doesn't cost us a fortune? Is one of the things because we have to think about that we have limited resources, and so how do we use it cleverly? How do we and
And how do you use those limited resources without ending up doing Russia and sending soldiers to the front line with tampons as first aid
yeah,
kits and
like
stuff like that?
donkeys and camels, and but here is it's wonderful to see that Canada and everybody else in the European Union are now talking about things like dual use, and everybody's talking about level playing field, and there is another term now I forgot it. Oh my, and so that the people
What are
are
you thinking of? Because I'm thinking, like, we're talking about dual use, we're thinking about the level playing field, we're talking about. Can you describe what it is that you're
no,
thinking of?
it's better that I don't think about it now because then it comes pops in the mind. But and then the cooperation, yeah. So everybody understands now that the because we can do the heavy lifting together. I mean, if everybody tries to do the same thing, like um, I mean, it's a massive rock. So when
But
everybody,
that was also one of the, sorry for interrupting you, but that was also one of the big takeaways from COVID, is that we're better off when we work together.
yeah, and this is a
And you saw how quickly, like, the global scientific community managed to get up
oh yeah,
with vaccines that were like
yeah,
not earn. I mean, there were. I mean, there was the AstraZeneca vaccine had some unfortunate side effects for certain groups of people, but it was fine for people who were, like, I think, older than 50.
yeah,
If I remember, I don't remember the date. Please say that we're wrong in the comments here, but
yeah.
because it was quite fantastic to see how the global scientific community managed to come up with vaccines so quickly, because we quite frankly needed to, so things could go back to some form of, like, semi-normal.
There's
Because
there's a funny story about this. 2014, Paula Risikko made this suggestion for the European Union that we should have a law uh, to so that we can purchase in crisis that we can purchase things together using our massive combined purchasing power, like in health crisis and so on. Like during the pandemic, we needed all PPI and all the PPE, or what was it? We needed the vaccines, 1.5 billion vaccines and stuff, so that when we use our combined purchasing power to do these things, to get these things, so we get it. First of all, we get it cheaper because of the economies of scale, but then we are using manufacturers and producers who we know already, so that we have a relationship that and so we do that shopping together. And when you remember when during the first days of the pandemic, everybody scrambled and the prices went up and up and crazy up. It was one
It
mask
was
was
a mess.
10 euros or something.
It was an
which was
absolute mess.
absolutely crazy. So then somebody, I don't know who, but like we have to thank that who remembered that wait a minute, we have this law from 2014. That was, by the way, the year when Russia annexed the Crimea. So we have this law from 2014. So we can actually use this to buy these, for example, the vaccines.
Yep.
And it was the first time ever when this law was used. And the funny thing was that it was the Finnish minister, Paula Risikko, who suggested this. And everybody was like that, hey, yes, this is a great thing. We will rush it through and we will have this law. And then what did Finland do? Finland forgot to ratify it.
I'm sorry, but this is a little bit embarrassing.
So when the first purchases, the common combined purchases, when they came, Finland was not there because we didn't ratify the law, and so the Finnish Parliament had to rush it through, and everybody was like saying that we are idiots, like how did we miss this?
No, but this is also something that I was going to say about the Swedish path of like avoiding war. I said that we have just decided let's just stick our heads in the sand a little bit.
Yes,
but I'm not going to say that is. I mean, I'm not sure if that's entirely fair. But I mean, we've been focusing a lot on diplomatic relationships and being nice to people, which only works so far because I don't think you can be nice to Putin at this point.
No, and here is the thing. This is another thing. When you see somebody is doing wrong to someone, then you have to step up, and it's like that. You cannot do that, and you have to take the stance. You have to be on the right side of the history, and you have to be on the right side. That the on the correct side, and you it's not like. You cannot this idea what the UK, for example, has that you have to have the both arguments.
I mean, I wonder what my future kids will learn in school about Putin and Trump.
Yeah, they will be part of the list of the dictators and immoral.
Yeah, because I don't think history will judge them very nicely.
No, it's already going south with them.
But what I hope for Russia is, honestly, that things get bad enough for enough Russian people to start turning against Putin.
We will see this during this winter, because there is already.
Because Russia is an authoritarian dictatorship where you can't exactly go out and have a peaceful protest against the leader, or you might be thrown in jail, or you might get tortured, or you might be tear gassed, and all of these things. But I would love for Russia to have more of a resistance movement against Putin, and more people who stand up and say, this can't go on, this is absolutely ridiculous.
I think we are now at the breaking point with that one. But
because the sad thing is that only Russians can do it.
Yeah, and this is important. It's the same thing with the Americans. We cannot do this for them. It's they have to do it for themselves.
But I think Americans have more protected constitutional rights to protest and to
No, 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 those are going downhill very quickly.
things like that. I mean, they're trying to take it down, but so far, like in this time we're right in now, I'm not sure what's going to happen like next few years with Trump, or like the next year even. But I do think that currently the Americans have a much stronger protected constitutional rights than Russians at the moment, because things have not been going as far there yet. And this is where I think now, ideally, Americans really need to start waking up and say that, okay, we love freedom, right? If we really want freedom, we might have to start acting now because it's going
Mm.
down the drain.
Here's the freedom part is here's the thing. What is a huge difference between the European freedom and the USA freedom? In USA, the freedom is like it's like um, that your freedom is that you don't have to do anything. Like that. It's like
No, it's just that Americans misunderstand the
yes,
concept of
and
freedom.
but in Europe here in like in Finland, we are really free in the level that you Americans are can't even imagine. But here is the thing that you have the responsibilities. You have to respect the law. You have to do certain things like and so you have the responsibilities first as an adult citizen. You have the responsibilities. When you have done that, then you have your freedom, and you have the freedom like when we have freedom of roaming and stuff like that one, and then that
Something where freedom is not really a thing is I'm sorry for interrupting you here, but when it comes to freedom, something we didn't have full freedom with is how long we can keep on talking.
oh
When it comes to this podcast, because we're
yeah,
currently at 57 minutes.
I mean, this is the thing. That's my. This is the horrible thing that I'm always like when I start talking, I can talk, and we have to the clock is ticking, so
No, but I think that
yeah, yeah, it's absolutely it's now 57 minutes, but yeah, what do we have to mention? The shop, the
we
Pietro.
have to mention the shop. And we should probably also mention the subreddit, because it would be nice to get some people there, because that way we can get feedback. And also
Patreon.
Patreon, yes. Because we need to start building the Patreon as well,
Yeah, we definitely have to do, and we welcome every.
because Patreon at the moment for us is a catch-22. Do we start producing content for a Patreon before we have members, or do the members come fast? Because the members will not stick around if they don't see the
Yeah,
value in being
no,
of a
we
Patreon.
have already. There is um, pre-show material in the pipeline that will be in the Patreon, and we will have we want to have a community there
So
program.
if you want to listen to more rambling and a little more use of Google and some quite colorful Finnish swearing, it's Patreon you should go to.
Yeah, um, swearing in 4 different languages. Yeah.
I don't think I've been as sweary as you have, but
Mm, but it's there. Okay,
I'm not saying that I'm not saying absolutely no swearing. I just say that you take the price.
there used to be this saying. We can end it to this. And thank you, Julia. But there was this saying that the about the economics that when USA sneezes, then we will catch the cold. But now the situation is that actually the USA has a diarrhea, and when they farts, then we get the shit. So that is that is the, you know, but it's really this thing is that the um, that was very rough in a way, but it's
But this is also when it's starting to become time for post-war Europe to decide that we need to stand on our own 2 feet, and we need to grow up in the sense that we don't
yeah,
depend on the US, because the fact that the US went in and the UK went in and did what they did to stop a certain Austrian-born German dictator,
yeah.
that was very good.
Yeah, and of course
Um,
they benefited from that. But the most important thing is to be on the right side of the history, and
yeah, but this
you
is
know,
something where, like, because I don't think that because under Hitler, such big parts of Europe were already occupied, and the
yeah.
resistance had more or less. I mean, it hadn't fallen completely, but there was no coordinated national resistance movements because they had already decided to get down on the knees and hand
Now,
over the power to
now,
Hitler.
now, if you look at what is happening in the USA, I can't remember now. Was there 11 states that now has the national card? So
Mm-hmm.
you can think that the Trump is doing the same thing what Hitler was doing in the Europe, but he's doing it in the USA, and he's occupying these states, and so this is a very we have to
The
step up.
difference here is that what Trump is doing is highly illegal under US law,
Yeah. No, yeah,
because
what? Okay, what?
it's
Here's
not legal for the president to
no,
deploy
yeah,
US troops
and it's not
on US
legal.
soil unless in very extreme
It's not,
circumstances, such as like a foreign invasion.
but it's not legal to occupy other countries. And actually, we will end it up here because now we went 80 years backwards. But the motto for the podcast is: if not me, who? If not now, when? And this is a call sign for the that we have to start doing these things, and we have to start fighting, because this is absolutely not acceptable. But hey, Julia, let's stop because now I'm watching the clock is
Now you're
yeah,
watching the clock.
yeah. I mean, I'm like there is I have to I have to catch the bus, so I'm like because the bus
Yeah, I'm
goes.
just thinking about the fact that we've said that we don't want to go over 1 hour, and we're currently at 1:02
Yeah,
and a half
the
approximately.
same like the last episode. So I will stop this one. Hey, thank you, Julia, and there will be
Thank you,
more.
Vidro, and we're gonna do this again soon.
Yeah, we will do this tomorrow again. So thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.